Yo, you already know what it is. It's me, Tri-Town Tory, coming to you live in effect. You already know, man, I got a special guest in the building today. The man, the myth, the legend, DJ Ricochet, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Pretty good, man. Excellent. And I'm really stoked that you were able to come out to my headquarters, man.
Yeah, me too.
Over here at Graveyard Shift, what we try to do is we try to highlight a lot of the entertainers and the people that we consider legends out here in the Northwest, because I think it's very important that there's an educational aspect to any kind of thing that you want to embark in. People have to become students, scholars of the game before they can actually create their own niche and create their own identity. So when I have someone like you in the building, naturally I want to jump into the conversations about like DJing and how you got into DJing and like your influences and things of that nature. But I kind of want you to lead the conversation. Where does it all begin with you and the art form that you love so much?
I guess it would start from my parents. My mom was into disco music. My dad was into classic rock, I guess. And I kind of merged both of their sound into my own, and it started with disco Mickey Mouse, my first record, and then from there it went into a new wave into hip hop, and hip hop into techno into just blowing up in all the different styles. And I guess I first started getting paid as a DJ because of breakdancing. Everybody liked my breakdancing and liked my music I was picking out when I was breakdancing, and I got paid to do a show at Memorial Park in Pasco back in the day. This probably was 83, 84.
Wow, right in the heyday.
Yeah, definitely. And it was when what started out like with the scratching and all that kind of stuff was Herbie Hancock Rocket. Mm-hmm. When that album came out, I was like, what is that sound? I got to learn that sound. And that's what got me into getting into turntablism. But from there, from the breakdancing side, it went into school dances into like weddings and personal parties, things like that. From there, went into clubs into corporate events, and now I'm doing like festivals. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Let's go back to breakdancing real quick. I love breakdancing because back in the day when I was in middle school, and that's funny, I say back in the day, middle school, that was in the 2000s and so, but breakdancing had a wave, and everybody was on it, everybody was breakdancing. I mean, it got to the point where the principal went and got like a linoleum mat for us to breakdance on the basketball court. And it's funny because when he first presented that he was going to do this, we thought it was something like way bigger, like big. We were going to have like a big mat outside that we were going to break dance, and it was literally just a sheet.
Yeah.
But it had like a brick, like graffiti, and
with me it was cardboard.
Cardboard, right? And the reason why I thought it was so funny is because like you could totally tell now in retrospect that he was a breakdancer from that first generation, and that's why he had interest enough to go and purchase something out of his own money for us to do right. So, right? And my father was a breakdancer. When he first came from Mexico to America, I always tell people that they got Americanized really quickly, my mom and my dad, because my mom was into like the jean jacket, hair metal type, rock, like White Snake and shit like that. And then my dad was into the breakdancing shit, like the movies Breakin' and Beat Street. They were fucking phenomenal, like to the youth, right? Influential wise. So how did you, since I want to talk about breakdancing for just a second more, how did you see the influence coming to you into your town of breakdancing? Like, did you see it? Where did it start? Like, did you see it on TV, and how did like a parasite or a viral, like it just started spreading everywhere? Like, what was that like, seeing that happen?
Well, I first started seeing breakdancing was in San Jose, California. I got a lot of family in California. And so there was a lot of street teams over there that were doing stuff on the street, and me and my cousins would end up just going and watching them, and I was more interested in the music at that time. I didn't really care too much for the breakdancing side, so
right. That's why you became a DJ.
That became a DJ.
Yeah.
But I got into like popping locking.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
that was my thing. And when I came back to Tri-Cities, I started doing the Tri-Cities, and everybody liked what I was doing. And it became a thing, and it all started around me. There was probably one other DJ, Kyle Adams, that was around when I started, doing the DJing thing. So it was just him and I that were doing the hip hop DJing side of that. Later on, he would end up becoming, the underground hip hop DJ, doing all the parties and events that he was throwing himself. With me, I'd turn into the club DJ type. So we both went our separate direction from that. But really, all the breakdancing side was records. I was so into records. I have tons and tons of records still. I have probably a good 2,000-3,000
no way
records right now.
Where do you keep all your records at?
I have a storage unit. It has a lot of stuff in it.
That's amazing. So you believe in the art of digging into crates and stuff like that.
I love digging.
Yeah. It's amazing how you never really made the transition into production in a sense with sampling and things of that nature.
I did.
Did you?
I did.
Okay. Awesome.
That was in I would have to say 1990, 1991 is when I started doing production.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to college for it at Seattle U, and that was for mainly marketing because I wanted to get what I had going, all around the world.
Right.
And during that same time, I caught wind of RSU Seattle, and so I went to RSU. Don't ever go to 2 colleges at one time because you end up paying for 30 years. But I ended up doing that, and that fell through because I could not learn from the teachers at RSU Seattle. I felt like they're teaching me the same stuff. And so I got out of college, and I don't even know. After that, it just took off in its own direction, and that's right. I ended up getting my house broken into. They took my keyboards, my drum machines, half of my CDs and records. I just ended up stopping that and just went straight into DJing, because that was the only thing they didn't take was my turntables.
Wow. So did you ever find out what happened with that, or was it people you knew?
I can say the names.
I mean, you don't
from here.
You don't need to do that, but I always think that that's super interesting because it's never random. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, they knew exactly what they were doing, and it was a group that I ended up producing at the time, and it was a Pasco group, and they made a name for themselves when I was with them, and then after me, they just kind of.
Oh, that kind of shows you how karma works, right?
Exactly. It's like that with anybody I work with.
So what I always thought was interesting, and one of the memories that I always had about you specifically, is I remember a conversation where you were telling me just the people that you met in the music industry and things of that nature. And I think I remember you saying that you met somebody who was pretty influential at one point. I forgot who it was, but there was a rapper. I don't want to just throw out any kind of weird names, but I could have swore that you either said you met Tupac or you had a picture with Tupac. Yeah, right?
Yeah, Tupac, he came with Digital Underground back in the day, and he came here. And when he came here, he was just a dancer. I keep telling everybody he was a go-go dancer.
Oh my God. Tell me more about this. They came here.
Yeah, they came here and did a show here in downtown Kennewick, and I was the DJ at the club. And
what was the club's name?
I'm thinking that was the Beach, or I can't remember. I think it was Beach. May have been Trash. I'm not sure.
Okay. So it was so long ago that yeah. No, okay, so but Digital Underground came through. And did you have any exchange with Pac?
I think he asked me to play a track and that was it. But at the time I didn't know anything about him. So I had no idea who he was. I was just
later on,
guy that worked with him.
Later on, it just all hit you holy shit.
Later on I was like, oh my God, that was that guy.
When he was one of the biggest guys in the world at that point. Yeah. See, I think that's super interesting because I feel like we meet more people when we're not trying to.
Definitely.
Right place, right time. And that also speaks to how karma always kind of works in the favor of good people, and how the law of attraction can really bring opportunity to good people. So it's these systems that are kind of we can't really see them, we can't really touch them or feel them, but they work in harmony together. And I've always known that to be a thing when it comes to you. You're a very positive person, a real good-natured person, and someone I feel very comfortable around. Every time we've had an interaction, I think that it's been a positive one. I've definitely tried to work with you over the years, and for whatever the reason, timing might not have been right. But I think that in the future, that's going to change, and we're definitely going to work together. I noticed that you're still very active amongst the youth around the Tri-City area. Like, you're still very influential to a young demographic that may want to one day try to do the things that you're doing. What's some good advice that you could give to somebody who, like, they want to do what you do, but they don't know how to get started? What's the blueprint? How would you give them the rundown of becoming you, or becoming at least the format to be themselves, but through your eyes?
Well, the first thing that I always end up doing is showing them the equipment. That's the first thing I do. Once I show them the equipment, that's when they start realizing, okay, that's how much it costs, and everything. That usually it makes it either make or break, because once they see the cost, they're either going to say, oh yeah, I want to put my money into that, or they're going to be like, oh, that's way too expensive. But then after that, it's always, keep bringing people in that are good. They're going to push you to become whatever it is that you want to become. You want to become someone like me. If you want to become someone like me, go ahead and find people that are going to support that. They're going to go ahead and push you to become like Ricochet.
So your environment is very important to who you are.
Environment is everything for me. It's not like that for everybody, but for me, the way I was raised wasn't like nobody knew that DJing was going to be a thing when I was coming up in the scene.
Right.
Everybody thought it was just, something that breakdancers was going to...
Right. They didn't see the industry.
They didn't see no industry in it. It was just, to this day, there's still people that say, oh, DJing is not, a real job. But that's like the highest paying thing in the world right now. Which is nuts. But at that time, it was just, just keep good people around you and make sure that you have those people supporting what you're doing. And if they're supporting what you're doing, do the same thing back to them.
Yes, totally. So there's what it sounds like is that there's like an education aspect where you kind of have to brush up on what you're doing, how you're going to do it, the equipment that's needed. And then after that, then there's a whole nother level. There's a whole psychology level to it. Building a team around yourself, a support system, understanding the people that are around you, finding the right people that are going to motivate you. There's so many different aspects to what it takes to become you. So I like to also, when I'm talking to, for example, let me put myself in this scenario. When I talk to a rapper or somebody who wants to become a rapper, I look at what's working for them, and then I see what's worked for me, and then I try to connect the dots for them. And the reason being is because a lot of people who want to be you, they just need a little bit of a nudge, and then next thing you know, they're doing the same things that you're doing.
Manifest it.
You have to manifest it, right? You have to believe it, and that's what I think that you're doing when you're showing them the equipment. Because if you touch it, you feel it. The next thing you know, you own it. You know what I'm saying? You have to experience it for you to know that you can have it. It's like when you want a car. Let's say you want a Tesla, right? The first thing that you do is you test drive the motherfucker to see okay, I do want this car. Because that's the most powerful impulse that you can put into the universe to bring it to your reality. And I think that people think that manifestation is some mumbo jumbo shit still. They just attribute it to so many other things. People would rather believe in the devil than the fact that people can manifest things into reality. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Fairy
tale shit. But at the end of the day, if somebody wants to be you, they got to understand that it takes the hard work, it takes the hours, not hundreds of thousands, because you're not 200 years old, but
I'm almost there.
But 10,000 hours is the bare minimum. 20,000 hours, now we're talking, right? 30,000 hours, okay, now you're probably Ricochet, right? But here's the thing. You have done things that people have only seen on TV. The fire, what's it called? The Burning Man, right? You've actually been to Burning Man and actually been a part of it, right?
Well, we have that here. Pretty much the same exact thing in the Tri-Cities. We live in a desert.
Right.
So going there was like being at home.
Right, totally. So you manifested it is basically what you're saying. Because
I was part of it when it first started. It started, I think they said it was like 95 or 96, but when I was living in San Jose, it was probably around the mid-90s, late 90s that I ended up going there for the first time. And
see, that's incredible, because a lot of people would pay thousands of dollars to experience the situation that you had, that you were in the infancy of.
Now, yes. Back then, all it was just people like lighting fires.
Right.
There was no LEDs or anything.
Right, because
it was all fire.
Industry found it and then turned it into what it became, right? See, but it still has an allure to it. Like, there's like a mysticism that's behind it, where people like kind of don't know what's going on out there, and they like the idea, but they want to know more of it. But you almost have to be a part of it to even understand it. It's almost like some sort of ritual, right?
It is different.
Yeah, it's definitely different. See, and what I think is really cool about you is that you're so open-minded and accepting to the world that you can be a part of all sorts of different but different situations, and it's not weird. Like something like that. It's just fucking normal, because your brand is you, and everything that you're
being a part of all the difference. That's one of the things that I always end up telling everybody is that everybody's different. Mm-hmm. Nobody's the same.
Yeah. And
the only way you're going to be able to find those really cool things is if you're okay with those differences. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them, there might not be something you're okay with, but if you take in a little bit of it, you can make it into something better.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean, because it's like having a conversation with somebody who you may not like, or you may not have anything in common with. You want to find some sort of common ground so you can at least have the conversation. And a lot can come from that. Maybe nothing comes from it right away, but maybe you're doing something for the other person. Like, I know that there's been conversations where, I mean, to be honest, it hasn't done anything for me, but I'll see that grow and manifest in their mind, and then they'll take that conversation, and then the next time I see them, they'll be a different person. And I think that's what when you follow a divine creator and you live for a purpose, a meaning. The meaning is to spread love. It's to make the world a better place. It's to make every room that you're in a better one for being in it. And the way that I do it is I utilize my subset of skills to amplify others' potential, right? Because I understand what it's like to be alone and have no support and have no guidance or no light to lead the way. And I don't want people to feel that way. If you feel like you have no voice, you have no pull whatsoever politically or any kind of way, then align with someone like me. Because what we do is we make sure that everything's working. And then after everything's working, then we really hit the scene. And that's why I'm really looking forward to working with you in the future, because I think that you are an established brand. Like I told you off record, I liken your brand a lot to something like a vintage legacy brand like Def Jam, right? And then that's when you showed me your logo, and it all kind of came full circle. You had, the Def Jam inspired, like the Run DMC influence sort of look to what you do. And you're even wearing Adidas right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you're the hip hop culture to the furthest extent, and you supersede hip hop into the EDM world, the electronica. I want to ask you about that. The evolution of electric music. Like, I remember at one point where they called it electronica, right? And then techno was kind of the blanket term that they've always used for it. And then you have dubstep and EDM, like all these trends that have happened since then. Did you ever feel the need to acquiesce into a sound, to fit in, or were you always just somebody who was just experimenting with what was ever going on, and you didn't really?
I was experimenting. My whole thing was, what can I mix this into?
Right.
And every single song that I was grabbing a hold of, it was basically something that was different than what I was already playing. Mm-hmm. And I had my friends come over and, hey Rick, can you mix this into this? Hey Rick, can you mix this? And that's all I was doing. It was a game for me. Mm-hmm. And the electronic side came from my dad. That was the classic rock. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, that was like Edgar Winter's group.
Was he a musician or?
No, he was just a listener. He's a mechanic.
So he would point out things to you that would make you interested in the music.
He would play songs that make me interested, but he wasn't trying to. He was just listening to classic rock.
It took a different life for you. Yeah. When you heard it, you saw everything.
Oh yeah, I saw exactly. those sounds, those analog synthesizer sounds, like Steve Miller Band, Flag Eagle, all that kind of stuff, made it so I was like, okay, what is that? I want to follow that.
It spoke to you.
And then that turned me on to, after that, turned me on to new wave. Because I had a lot of that electronic sound to it. And then, of course, during that same exact time was when they had, all the Miami break stuff coming out in the hip hop scene and the New York style and everything. And there was a lot of that same exact, the analog synthesizer sounds. And then from there, I went into like the old school house music, which was at the time acid. There was it was just acid and techno, and then there was like hardcore techno, which was UK's version of breakbeats and drum and bass and all that kind of stuff. And then just everything, to me, everything's techno. There's no like,
it's like everything's hip hop,
dubstep and bass music and
everything's
trance. It's all techno to me.
Everything's a subdivision of the main thing, right? And I look at it the same way as hip hop, because hip hop is everything. It's the elements.
That's how I look at hip hop too.
Yeah, and like trap music, everything kind of like just comes off of it. You know what's interesting is that when the electronic world and the hip hop world, they finally fused.
Yeah, they're actually one of the same now.
Yeah,
and it's better over the radio.
It's amazing how the trees, like the branches, grew into each other. Because if you look at trap music specifically, there is a hip hop version of trap. And then there's an electronic version of trap that only shares certain elements together.
Well, you got to see that tree. When you see that tree, you got to pull away the dirt, you got to pull away the leaves, and you flip it upside down. It's the same exact thing.
Yeah, it totally is. It's the same idea. It's the same components. But I almost feel like electronic music is the technological answer to the things that were there before. Like, for example, the technical music will mimic things that are already going on, but they'll do it in a technological aspect, right? So when you listen to trap music in an EDM sense, you see the remnants of what a hip-hop record would be underneath it, but then you see the synthetic elements that are it's almost like a robotic version of the original idea. See, and this is really futuristic, because if you look at the way that the world is heading, there's a lot of talks about people like living amongst robots. Like one day there'll be more robots than there are people, kind of thing. And there are also talks of people like Elon Musk wanting to put like a chip in your head to give you access to all of this bandwidth, so you have all this information. And then you have people like Mr. Beast. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mr. Beast, the guy on YouTube, pretty big deal. He says he wants to be one of the guys who gets it first. And he was talking about how like you'd be able to make unlimited money. And that was something that I thought was really interesting. So to take it kind of back to the technological aspect of the electronical music, you had your start almost in one world, and then you transformed yourself to go into the future world of the electronic world. Like, because you were pretty much cutting edge and ahead of the wave.
I started a lot of that.
You started a lot of that in the Tri-Cities, and you're actually really...
I started a lot of that in Tri-Cities, in Seattle, in
everywhere you've
San
been.
Jose, and everything, all those spots.
And you're heralded as that. You're an institute in that sense. The same way that Ray's Golden Line is an institute for live shows here in Tri-Cities. And that's why it coming back is a pretty... like it feels like a simulation kind of moment.
Yeah, they're coming back with a lot of live stuff, which you can actually do yourself because you're live.
Yeah, totally.
Me being a DJ, I can't see that fitting in with what they're trying to do. But maybe they will. Maybe find a spot.
See, I think that at the end of the day, venues will always serve a purpose that's universally approachable by all forms of music.
They should just really keep it going with every single style thing coming in.
Because even Ray's past with EDM music was pretty, fruitful for everybody involved.
That was when they started that too.
Yeah. See, and that's what I see. I see coming, because the internet, what it did, it created the ability for you to, like, in the past, when something happened, it was a wave and everybody felt it, right? And everybody had to deal with it, even people who weren't trying to be a part of it, right? Well, now you can have the same kind of power in like an echo chamber way, where you can create an EDM revolution every month for people around the world who are tuning in digitally. And that's what's very exciting, because people who are misfits and underground, like they maybe didn't reach the mainstream level of success, they can now have a mainstream level of success without the exposure that it would have took.
They can be in a closet and make it happen.
They can definitely make it happen. The same way that big production studios used to record these great albums, you can record it in an apartment, in a hotel. Look at Kanye West. He recorded some of his best albums in hotels, with mobile setups. I think that your environment is really important to the sound of the music, the way the music comes out, because you have to create a vibe in order for the music to sustain that vibe for the listener. Because if you're in the studio, you lighting candles and you got a whole vibe going on, chances are the music that you're going to make is going to be the soundtrack to that moment, right? So when someone else listens to that, at a very minimum, they can kind of feel what you felt because you captured it, you encapsulated it. So that's what making music is like for me. I like to make music where I want you to feel the emotions I'm evoking.
All of my albums that I have, all my mix albums, they're the same exact way. It's basically I'm going through something and it's being put onto a mix, and that mix is gonna showcase whatever I'm feeling.
Yes, 100%. And see, I think that the people who know you and who are familiar with what you do, they've happened to catch you when you're live. And they've done it enough times where they've built a big picture of who you are, right? But to the rest of the world who is more tapped into the digital aspect of modern times, and the only reason they know anything is because they stream it and they download it, so to speak, are you going to are you going to retell your story in the digital format for people to consume instantaneously? And what I mean by that is do you have any plans of doing everything that you've already done but making it online and accessible?
That's the thing, that's the only thing I don't have is to show people what I'm like live. Because they hear what my music and they hear what I do. Even people that talk about me, he's awesome. They don't really get it until they see it. So what I want to do is make it so that they're actually able to see it.
Yeah, totally.
That's the only thing that I don't have right now that I want.
I think that's a good idea, and I have some ideas for you too to help build what you got going on, but I'll talk to you about that off the record, because a lot of this information is really good for just about anybody, but you specifically could really utilize some of these ideas, and I would like to see how they look, with you using your infrastructure to do them.
Yeah,
so we'll definitely talk about that later, but I want to keep this podcast short because I do want to have you on another podcast eventually. This will be part 1 of one that we do, and we'll work together, and then we'll do a part 2, and then we'll work together and we'll do a part 3.
That'd be great.
And then we can put them all together and then see how they sound one after another. But if somebody wanted to find a sample of what you have to offer in any kind of format, and they're at home, they're sitting, they have a Wi-Fi connection, they got the internet going, they got their laptop right in front of them, how can they get a taste of who you are?
Well, if you want a bass taste, I would go to soundcloud.com/Fractal Child, FRACTALCHILD. You're able to hear my bass sound, and then if you want to hear almost everything that I do, every single style, I would go to mixcloud.com/Fractal Child.
Cool. What's the story behind the Fractal Child?
Well, that happened because I'm really big into mathematics. So when I went to college at Seattle U, one of the courses that they were doing over there was for fractal mathematics, and it was mainly for visual, I guess, because there's a visual aspect to fractal mathematics, but really fractal mathematics is all of chaos theory. So basically the course was chaos theory, and to me I felt like my whole life was just chaos, so it fit perfect. And I called myself the Fractal Child, and back then it was Mandelbrot sets and Julia sets and everything. Nobody knew anything about this stuff when I was going to college for it. And so I just kind of made it myself, and then next thing I know, because of the visual aspect, so many people were into fractals. And that's still one of the things that got me into magazines, because there's a lot of tattoo artists that are interested in trying to tattoo me, because I'm trying to look for somebody to do a fractal on me, and the fractals are tough. They have to be like almost computer scanned on me somehow, but that's why I still don't have one of those yet, but I'm in magazines for that one fact that I look for.
Well, this podcast right here is going to go out to my audience, and it's going to be on Spotify and Apple Music, or Apple Podcasts. So if you are an artist that could do that kind of work, how can they reach out to you?
Just find me either at those music device websites, or go and get a hold of me at djricochet.com. I have my own .com. Or you can go and just email me at fractalchild@live.com. Okay, awesome. Do you have social media platforms like Instagram, Twitter? I do have. I'm really basic on everything because I'm not real big on computers. So you can find me either on Facebook, Instagram, and I do think that I have something else. I can't remember what it is, but those are the only two ones I actually.
Okay. So they would look for DJ Ricochet, Fractal Child. What would they look for specifically?
Either Fractal Child or DJ Ricochet, but really Fractal Child is the one that kind of associates me with all of my sites and stuff like that.
Okay. And just for booking information, if somebody wanted to have you do a wedding or a dance of some sort, do you prefer they reach out to you on a certain channel?
Either that, or just go ahead and go straight to me at fractalchild@live.com.
Okay, perfect. So I want to wrap this one up, because I think that we got a pretty good idea of who you are, and then when we move forward, we'll talk a little bit more about like who you're becoming. And I think that it's really interesting that you have a whole new wave that's coming along. It's really exciting to be a part of. And I just want to thank you, man. Thank you for being here tonight. And
you're welcome. Thank you.
And everybody is going to truly appreciate it when they get to know who you are, if they don't already.
Can't wait to work together.
So this right here is Tri-Town Tory. We're signing off. I got DJ Ricky in the house. Everybody have a good night.
Peace out.
1